Hey there, guys. I'm not gonna bull crap around anything with this particular video. It's nothing very horrible or nothing too tragic. I'm still alive. I'm not dying of anything, but these are just things that I just felt like I needed to bring out to everybody because I guess it could play as kind of like a time capsule of sorts, I guess. And maybe years from now, if my overall situation does change, maybe I'll look back on this video and I'll probably think, huh, wow, that was a very frustrating time of my life. I don't know, but I guess I'm also kind of using this also as a bit of a therapy. But anyway, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. I'm feeling like pretty crap right about now, and the reason is that I I want to be in a romantic relationship, and I want to grow with with a girl, a woman, and raise a family and all those different stuff. I want that, but I'm even though I've always known in the back of my mind that it was gonna is gonna take a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of everything. You know, it's just I'm just I'm just frustrated. You know, I'm just really out of it. I'm just so frustrated. I I want to become close to someone, to a girl, to a woman, but it just kind of seems that I feel as if I'm just not capable of that. You know, what I mean when I say I'm not capable of that is it just means that and this is not to use an excuse or anything, but I'm autistic. Obviously, there's autistic people who goes into relationships, all the time. I'm very well aware of that. But at the same time, though, like it's also a lot more difficult and a lot more harder to for a neurological type and an autistic type to hold a relationship together. I mean, I know deep, I know deep down it's not impossible, but it's just very hard. I know that for a fact. But but at the moment where I'm at right now, I'm just kind of all sorts of things. I'm feeling discouraged. I'm feeling a little envious, if I have to be honest. I'm feeling very self-defacing and, you know, not so good. I've had I've had many crushes before in my past, but it's either one of three things kind of usually happens with the crush that I have. It's either one, we just continuously remain friends and the crush moves away to some other state or some other country and I never hear from her again. Or two, the crush does move to another place, in another state or another country. She finds the boyfriend, they get married, and they raise a family, they have their first kid. Obviously, there's a lot more intricacies that goes on behind this, but I'm just offering a very general detail. And number three, which I'm not bitter at all about, by the way, some some sort of personal circumstance happens to that crush that renders anything past a friendship or anything romantic with this other person to be very not necessarily a good thing for the crush, and it renders any kind of romantic progression to not be viable. So it's either one of those three particular things, but with each of those three particular instances, they were all girls women who I crushed on, and they were women that eventually things just never worked out, and now I kind of end up in a state of just being alone. Obviously I'm not alone. Like I'm currently still living with my parents right now. I'm attending school. I do definitely have friends, especially now that I'm a senior, and obviously, yes, I'm not technically alone. But in terms of like having a romantic relationship, and in terms of just you know becoming very intimate with the person, emotionally, spiritually, in the religious and or the human sense of the word. Obviously, having sex is kind of part of it, even though that's not really the most important thing. I mean, yeah, yeah. But the case in point is not just only the sexual angle of it, but it's also, you know, just being close to someone in general. I never really, aside from my parents, I never really became so intimate with anybody, you know, in an emotional way, in a physical way, and just like in a romantic way in general. And each time that I would have a romantic infatuation with someone, either I would say something dumb or I would do something stupid, and that person just, yeah, you're weird. To me, they would never even say it directly to me, but it's almost like, yeah, it's not going to work out, and it's just a little frustrating. Another part that's frustrating to me is that, like, I've often seen, couples who marry who have been friends since they were kids, since they were in high school, since they were in kindergarten. They've had that history behind them. So they're best friends. So if you talk about the quote, marry your best friend, they marry their best friend, and they have kids and they have children, and they grow up to be, adults and stuff, and have a family, like, whereas with me, I never had a consistent friendship throughout all of childhood, going through elementary, adolescence, college. I never had that. I never had that steady progression from childhood all the way to marriage and family life. I never had that. And it just seems that a lot of my other friends, not all of them obviously, but at least, I mean, I know I mean, well, I'm lost for words now. My cousin, I know, like, her now husband, who just tied the knot last year. They've been friends for a while, so they have that history behind them. Whereas with myself, yeah, I can't, you know, it's just not. I don't know. For me, it's just haven't worked. It's just never worked out, and I hate to say, but like, I'm just very, almost a bit envious of couples who have known each other for a long time, who have that history, as opposed to now having to like start again from scratch and just go through all the work of just growing from scratch and everything, and it's just not very, it's just not very good, you know. So so yeah, I mean, that's been my overall, I guess, personal frustration with myself, and the way that life works out. I know I'm not the only one, and I know that just because, a married couple has that history, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that their marriage is going to last. I know that completely. I know there's tons of couples who, yes, they did meet, yes, they did put a couple of years into like knowing each other, but they married and they had a very long, wonderful life together. Even though they don't have that decade plus history behind their belt, maybe they have a couple of years behind their belt, maybe at the most two, and they've had a very long, happy marriage with each other. Like, I know that completely, I know that entirely, and still, the frustration and you know, the overall frustration with myself, and just feeling so inadequate with other people. I mean, compared with other people. I mean, it's a lot to get discouraged by, and I have been discouraged so many times, to the extent that well, maybe I'm just not meant for romance or anything like that. I never gave myself a chance at romance ever, and whenever the opportunity presented itself, like came to me, like I botched it up, or I messed it up and I didn't take it or something. It's just a lot of different things. But yeah, it's just, I think it's just remembering that fact, and all of a sudden now I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, my life's a wreck, you know, because I mean, it's not an excuse, obviously, and it's never going to be. I know that too, but my autism doesn't make things any easier, especially with the neurological type. It's not that it's not impossible to have a lifelong marriage with a neurotypical, but it's definitely a lot more challenging. I'm not saying that anything is easy, but it's this perception that some people have it a lot more easier than others, even if their lives are still difficult to an extent. But it's just that feeling is so powerful, and it's difficult to handle, difficult to shake off. But case in point, I'm feeling frustrated. I am feeling discouraged. I'm feeling a little bit sad, angry, maybe a little bit envious here and there. Everyone seems to be doing well off, and I'm just, you know, still here, still with my own interests and my own um, things. And yeah, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen to me later on, years from now. Maybe I'll still be the same way. But I don't know. I don't know. I just think I just think maybe taking it day by day and just, yeah, yeah. Anyway, thanks for hearing me rant, and hope you guys take care of yourselves. I'm not the first one to go through this, nor I'm sure, positively sure, I'm not going to be the last. So thanks a lot for listening. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.